Hi there, this is Mehdi Harris, and I'm teaching urban data analysis. Here in this video, I'm going to teach you how you can create a brand new notebook from scratch and read a CSV file in it. Um, Here I opened a folder first thing, and that was, the folder I'd like keep my files in. So these are the files. Um, and I'm going to create a new file now. And when you want to create a new file, you have these options. Depending on the type of plugins and extensions that you have installed on your VS Code, you may get to create different types of files. Because we have Python and Notebook plugins installed, we can create those. Um, in this case, we are going to create a Jupyter Notebook file. This should be familiar to you. This is a cell. And one thing that we want to do right away is saving this as you can save it here as, let's say, read a CSV file. Okay, you see that? It's a CSV file. The extension is IPYNB, which is um, for Python notebook. And now we can start coding. To read CSV files, you need pandas, which is a package. We can import packages. So I'm going to say import pandas. You can basically go ahead and just import pandas, and all the sub functions of pandas going to be loaded, and you can use them. Um, but the common practice is name this PD. So we say import pandas, which is a package, manages the tables, and and then you can name that whole package PD. So once this is done, I say Shift Enter, meaning that execute this line and go to the next line, or execute this cell, and create the next cell, or go to the next cell. Okay, so it is being still, you see that it's not executed yet. Why? Because we have to select our environment. It says which environment do you want to use for this. Now we say we want to use our UDI environment that we had created previously, and now it is being connected to that kernel, and now it is importing pandas as PD. If you get that green check mark, you are good. The pandas library is um, imported. Now I can start saying from PD dot, I see all the functions um, on their panda. So I can say panda read, and you can see you can read many different types of files. Read from clipboard, read from Excel. Um, so different types of tables, different types of files. The one that we want to use today is CSV. Okay, we want to read the Panda CSV, but where is the file? We don't have a file yet. So let's go ahead and download a file from this repository that we have here. And under datasets, I have uploaded a CSV, NYC block group CSV. Um, this one also is NYC census tract. So let's download the census tract. When you click on it, you can see that you have the option to download the CSV file. It is downloaded. Again, you can use this automatically using Git. We haven't learned that yet, so I just do it manually for now. But still, I would like to organize my files. After download, I would like to cut this file, meaning move, and we are going to our file structure, and you can see that we have a folder for data I had created before, and I can paste it here. Great. So that's all good. The file is there. Let's go to VS Code. Here, we should be able to see the file here now. You see that? So the file is here. We want to connect to that file. How can we connect to that file? Here, um, we actually need parentheses here, okay? So we need to pass the address of that file, the path of that file here. But how can you do it? You can simply go to your Windows Explorer, or if you are on Mac, you can go to your Mac files. And then here you can, if you hold the Shift key down in Windows and right click, you're going to get copy as path. In Mac, you should press the Options key and then right click. So we get the copy. Basically, we copy the path of that file here. Um, and then if you paste it here, you can see it comes in quotation mark. If it doesn't come in quotation mark, you need to use quotation marks, because quotation marks will define this as a text, as a string, basically we can write it in a variable too. But quotation marks is important um, to have the quotation mark. In Windows, you also need to put a small lowercase r here. So a lowercase r quotation mark the path. And if you are on Mac, you don't really need that R, although it doesn't hurt. But you don't need that R, and you just put this address here. And now we are ready to run this. So when we run, the output of this whole function um, is a table. So the output is here. So this is just output. You cannot do anything with it. This is just shows that that's the output of that. But how about if you want to use it in some analysis? So we need to name it and put that whole output in a variable. So I can say create a variable named df, and basically put this table in that df. Df in pandas is a common name that we use for data frames. Data frames, you can imagine them, they are tables. Um, so df short for data frame, and we say, okay, put this output, which is this table, in that variable. So we created a variable named df, and now I'm ready to execute the cell. That is done. If you get some error, you have to fix those. It is done. So now I see B, uh, hitting B. Now I have a cell below that cell. So I can call df now. So if I say df, execute this using Control Enter, just that's what we are storing in df. So the same thing, right? So now this variable basically is the same output that we had. Um, df itself has some functions. So if you have df, if you just type df dot, you can see all these functions are available to you now. These are some of the columns that we have. So one thing we can do is just give me a sample, okay? Control Enter just gives you a sample, one sample, random sample from this data. Give me a sample of five, gives you five random samples out of that. You can say, give me a head, the head of this, the five top rows of this table. Those are the top five rows of the table. You can also say, give me the the bottom five rows, which is the tail of this table. So you can basically study your table. Um, how many rows we have? You can basically say, let's say create a cell below this. I can use the len function, which is for length. And say, what is the length of the f? Here it is. Let's fix that. And that's 2100, about 2100 cells, sorry, rows. So that's good. For this address, sometimes we also like to put this address as a variable. Now we just passed it as the address itself. So I'm going to cut this, create a cell above this, and say, create an address named file path. So this is the path of the file, and put this address string with that R in this variable named file path. Okay, now I can run this. That's good. And then I can now have a variable that, what is this variable holding itself? Let's just say b, what is file underscore path? That is this one. If you notice, we have these double backslashes. These are basically the way that R is helping us to put those, and then the system knows, the machine knows that this is an address file. Great. So I have that address in my file path. I can now just feed this pd.read underscore CSV function using this variable, which is the same thing, right? So it doesn't matter if you put this one in as an argument in those parentheses or the variable that contains the same thing there. So do the same thing, run the same thing, make sure everything is good. Everything is good. Okay, so a few basic things about tables. First, you can say df, tell me what your columns are. Okay, so that is, it lists all the columns in that table. The cell below this, you can say df, give me the info of your the columns. So it gives you all the columns, not all of them because it's just long list, and also it tells you the data type of whatever you are storing in that column. So one of these columns are, for example, the population in 2000, um, and we can now call that. We can call that, and actually we have a newer population. So these are these from census data, ACS, American Community Survey, and these are all for the year 2000. And then we have between 6 and 10, and we have between 12 and 16. So the population for 12 and 16, if I can find it, would be nice. Anyway, we can't. Um, anyway, so we can use this population of 2000. Um, I just basically like to copy and paste things here. Escape B, we say D, F. If I want to get one column out of this data frame, I can use brackets. And in the brackets, I can pass the name of the column. But the name of the column has to be in quotation marks, single quotation marks or double quotation marks. They both work. Um, so we put the population 2000. Make sure that you have the exact text here. It is case sensitive. So population underscore 2000, and we can run this. So what is it? So these are all the values of the population 2000. So now we have one column. This column itself has some functions. Um, so I can say dot sum, um, give me the sum of the population in 2000. That was 7,900,000 something. I can ask what was the mean of population in each census tract. It was about 3,000. Um, you can ask median. Um, and basically, you can get a summary of that um, column. You can replace that column with something else. This is population of 610. So let's see what is the sum of population of 610. Um, and that's 8 million. So we had an increase um, in the population in those years. So um, now you know how to get a column. You know how to get some summary for that column. You know how to see all the uh, columns in that table and get a sample of your table. These are some fun things to work with. Um, Now we can go ahead and explore your column. And one more thing. Here I can use df, right? Ask basically call a column, say population, um, 12, 16, here it is. And if I say sum, you're gonna get the sum of the population. So from 2010 to 2016, I mean, um, you had an increase in population again. You can use another function and describe. Um, describe um, is a function that gives you basically all the descriptive stat of that column. Count how many rows we have in that um, column, or basically in your table the same. What is the mean, standard deviation, minimum 25 percentile, 50th percentile, which is median, 75 percentile maximum of those values, and the data type of that, which is float 64. So this is all really helpful information. Um, you can basically explore any column using describe. Good luck with exploring and finding new things here.